Hello everybody, this is my comparison slash review of both these sights. What I have here is an AX4500. I've had this for about 2 years now. I just replaced it in favor of this one, the Shibuya Ultima CPX 520. Start with this one. I'll start real briefly on how they work. This attaches to your bow. This is pretty normal. It's got little dimples. It slides back and forth. Yep. And when you screw this in, it locks into one of those dimples. It stays in place pretty well. It doesn't come loose. This knob doesn't come loose on you when shooting. Goes up and down depending on your yardage, like this. Got little numbers on the side. It's got a push button to do big adjustments, and then it locks in place. This does your up and down, and it's supposedly in 2/1000 inch increments each click. This does your windage. This does your first axis movement. It has a little ovalized thing so you can spin it. This mounts to your scope mounts to this, I mean. It's got a little doodad here so that when you slide it in like this, it locks it in place. And on this right here is your second axis position movement, these two little screws, and this is your third axis movement. Okay, and on to this one here. This one's a little more simple. This is made of carbon fiber. It's got numbers on it. Same system. It's got little dimples that mount to your, when you mount it to here. And it's got a clamp just like this one. Same design almost. This whole assembly mounts to your scope. And it does not have a little turny dial knob on here. You push this little button, it moves this out of the way. Here, see that? So you can slide it on, and that grabs onto this threaded rod that goes up and down, like that. And that's how you do your adjustments. These are the micro adjustments. This is your big adjustment. This does your windage, back and forth. This is your same system. So our first axis position movement. This does your third, and in here, this does your second. Alright, and I'm going to get on to the comparison critique right now of each. Alright, let's start with the pluses and minuses of the Axcel itself. I've had this for a couple of years, so I'm a little more knowledgeable about this one. The other one I've only had for about a week. So the first plus on this one is that it's very sturdy. I think it's probably the most sturdy one they make out there. I think they say it's built like a tank. It really is. I've never had anything come loose on me. Shot it for 2 years, lots of thousands of shots. Nothing's come loose on me or worn out. So as far as that goes, it's nice. Nice thing about this is that compared to the Axcel, this is going to be a little bit different. This mounts to your scope, and this comes in and out. And it's real small, you know, you can put it in your case, you know, and you hook it up. As long as you, let's say you're shooting at 20 yards the last time, just put it on right there. Your elevation is good. Left and right's good. You're going to hit the exact same spot. No worries about that. Nice thing about this is that this has just a regular old hole going through it. It's real easy to attach your scope initially. That is a little bit different on the Shibuya. I'll get to that later, but you just put your scope rod through, tighten it down with the bolt, you're good. I never had it come loose on me in 2 years, so good that way. It doesn't have a thread in it. I think there's a threaded version of this if you wanted it, but I've never had any problems with this one. The next plus over the Shibuya is that it comes with a better case. This doesn't come with it, but you know, put your scope in here, your sight. You can put your release in here. Put this. I keep this in there. So it's really nice compared to the crappy bag that Shibuya gives you. You spend more money on the scope, you think you get a better case than a zippered bag, but yeah, and it's endured the abuse. So good case. All right, now we get to the drawbacks of this one. It is very heavy. I think even with the scope on the Shibuya, it is still lighter than this thing. This thing is really heavy, but to be fair, this is the longest version that they have. But you know, this is the longest version. It's the same size, so still lighter with this one. It's not very pretty. I'm not going to repeat what my cousin said about it once, but it's not pretty at all. It looks ugly on your bow. Some of you might disagree, but I don't think it's very pretty. The mount itself, this thing here, is goofy. I wish they would have thought this through, but most people have holes in the center of the riser like this. So you got to put it off to one side or the other, unless you have like a really thick riser, so you can cover the whole thing. Someone's going to be sticking off like that, and I think that's stupid. Most bows don't have a holes drilled right here; they have them in the center. So I sent an email off to Axcel asking if they made like an adapter plate, but no, they weren't having any of that. So yeah, I don't like that. It's just cosmetic, but it drives me crazy. The next thing this is the worst thing about this sight, is that this thing comes loose on you all the time, and it drove me crazy. Usually within the first couple shots it'll come loose on you, but you'd be shooting for a little while, all of a sudden you notice that you're shooting a little bit high. It's because this thing came loose on you and it's dropped down a little bit on you, and it's just, I've tried using Loctite, everything. It works for a little bit, then the Loctite wears out and it doesn't work anymore. So that's terrible. That's probably the biggest reason I don't use this anymore. It's not bad, just make sure you just gotta check it every once in a while. Start hearing a rattle, check that. That's your first stop solving the rattle problem. It's harder to get into this little spot to adjust this. You can take it off if you want and then adjust it like that, but then you gotta put it back on, see how far you moved it. It's kind of a pain. And that is it for this one. All right. All right, let's talk about the pluses of this Shibuya here. First thing is, it's a lot prettier. Some might disagree, but I think it's, you know, a heck of a lot prettier. Slimmer in design, just looks cleaner on your bow. This is nice and carbon. It looks so pretty. You know, I like it. It's got numbers on the side, just like the other one. The next thing, it's a lot lighter. It's way lighter than the Axcel. I don't know about the carbon, if that makes it lighter or not, but it's a heck of a lot lighter, and I like it. Second and third axis, a lot easier to adjust. They actually put these on the outside, so you don't need a tiny, dinky little wrench to get at it. That's nice. There is no scope knob on here to come loose like the Axcel has. Alright, we're experiencing one of my negatives on this one. Alright, there's no scope knob here to come loose like the Axcel has. So that's nice. Alright, let's talk about the minuses. The scope itself, when you first get it, is hard to attach. There's like a little triangle thing in here. And it can only be in one of three positions. So you have to get this lined up with the sight bar so that when you're looking at it straight on like that. It is really hard. I spent like an hour on there getting this so it's tight and stays in this position. I wish they just made this a straight hole without threads in it and just tighten it with the nut and you were good, like the Axcel is. Axcel is one up on that one. Bad thing about this is this little thing that it interacts with these threads. I think it's made out of plastic. I haven't heard anybody online saying that this is bad or it had any of those breaks, but plastic, to me, bad. The case itself, crappy. Just something with a zipper on it. You know, try to put your scope in here, it barely fits. Maybe you had a smaller scope. I use a pretty big one, but it barely fits. I just bought a gun case, handgun case. That's like my Axcel one. That's a lot nicer than this bag. Another drawback to this, let's say you were shooting at 20 yards last time. You're going to want to mark down or remember a number as to where it was. I have to leave it at 13 to shoot at 20. Let's say you haven't shot in a week, you might not remember that number. But so I have to remember that my elevation will be off when I go to shoot every single time, so I got to make sure it's in the right position. Another thing is that it's kind of limited as to how far right and left it can go. There's like a little thing inside here. This doesn't come out. There's like a little triangle in here. That comes out, but it's limited as to how far it can go in. I almost ran out of room pulling it to the right. I might have kind of a goofy bow. Mine just about ran out of room to the right. Otherwise, I would have used their adapter plate thing that comes with it, and that looks really stupid. And I really didn't want to use that unless I really had to, but thankfully I didn't, and I'm almost out of room, so hopefully in the future that won't be a problem. I think for everybody else it probably won't be, because I just have a weird bow that seems to shoot weird. It's all the way to the right. And that's it. Now I'm going to go on to the part of which one would you rather have depending on what your preferences are. Alright? Alright, which one should you buy? I think if you're fine with one that looks a little goofier, it's heavier. I think even the Achieve one is not as pretty as the Shibuya. It's still probably heavier. If you want one that's just really sturdy, and I don't think it'll ever break on you, buy this one. If you like the feature of being able to put it on your bow and then having it be the exact same elevation as the last time you had it on your bow, buy it that way. I mean, this one does it, you just gotta remember a number. But this one is exactly in the same place you left off the last time you shot. But you're gonna buy this one if you like prettiness, if you like lightness. I think it's gonna function just as well as that one as far as durability goes, but you know, I haven't had this one for 2 years, so we'll see how time goes on. Yeah, so if you're willing to spend a little bit more, get one that's a little bit lighter and prettier, buy this one. If you want one of these that's a little bit heavier, a little bit cheaper, and probably will never break on you, buy this one. Alright, hopefully this helps, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.